Let's turn now to the University Courthouse. Former fashion mogul Peter Nygard has been sentenced to 11 years in prison, including time served for sexual assault convictions. Our CP24's Beatrice Vaisman was in the courtroom, joining us live now outside the courthouse. Beatrice, I was looking at some of the notes that you were sharing, and it seems like the judge here wanted to make sure that this was not a case of another man from a bygone era being ultimately given a tap on the wrist.
And that's exactly something that Justice Robert Goldstein spoke about as he read out his decision, Andrew. He said that Peter Nygard came from an era where many of these powerful and wealthy men felt as though they had immunity. These sexual assaults happening between the late 1980s and 2005. And so Justice Goldstein saying that Peter Nygard used his wealth, used his power, used his private suite at 1 Niagara Street here in the city of Toronto to manipulate, to lure, to take advantage, and to sexually assault these four women. The judge quite clearly started off his sentencing, actually, by referring to Peter Nygard as a sexual predator, adding that he is a Canadian success story gone wrong. He worked hard, he became wealthy, but he used his power and wealth to commit 4 sexual assaults. Let's talk about this 11-year sentence, Andrew, and how it actually breaks down as well. There's 3 victims for whom Peter Nygard has been given a 2.5-year sentence for, and then a third victim, a teenager, a 16-year-old girl, for whom the justice imposed a 3.5 sentence for. That totals a complete sentence of 11 years global sentence. And that's the sentence that Justice Goldstein deemed would be appropriate. As of today, Peter Nygard has been in custody for 1,047 days, so he gets credit for that time behind bars at 1.5 times. And so in totality, after credit for time served, he's going to have 6.7 years remaining in his sentence, meaning the sentence, once that concludes, Peter Nygard will be 89 years old at that point, Andrew. When it comes to parole eligibility as well, Nygard will be eligible for full parole in 814 days. In 21 months from now, he'll be eligible for day parole. So that's how the sentence imposed by Justice Goldstein today breaks down.
Well, Beatrice, I know that looking at what the Crown wanted versus what Nygard's lawyers and legal team wanted were very different. And a lot of the arguments coming from the defense was ultimately about his health deteriorating. But the judge had some interesting thoughts on that, saying that it seemed after that he was ultimately convicted that there was a magical deterioration of his health, not dismissing that his health concerns, but or being skeptical, but seemingly saying that they doubted that his health was as bad as was being at least said in court. What else were you hearing there?
Yeah. Justice Goldstein was quite clear that Peter Nygard is exhibiting a lot of health concerns. These are not health issues that he was diminishing. He says that with the exception, really, of his glaucoma and his diabetes, his type 2 diabetes becoming more severe while he's been in custody, Andrew, that Peter Nygard essentially entered the jail system back in October 2021 when he was 79 years old with vastly the same health issues as he has today. He says it's really difficult to ascertain, Andrew, how many of these health issues have become worse because of time in jail, which is, of course, tenuous and can be a lot for anybody, but certainly as someone who's of geriatric age, or he doesn't know if they were just contributed to by pure aging process. Again, Peter Nygard is now 83 years old, Andrew, and so the judge saying that Mr. Nygard has a kind of a way to exaggerate and to use hyperbole, and that after the jury handed down its sentence, that it seemed he experienced this vast deterioration, and that's something certainly that the judge was skeptical about. But again, an 11-year sentence for Mr. Nygard. We're standing outside of 361 University, waiting to see if we'll hear either from the Crown attorneys, Mr. Golwala and Ms. Serban, who've been presiding over this case, or if we'll hear from Jerry Wheat, Mr. Nygard's now third defense lawyer. Andrew.
We'll have to wait and see, but we do know 2,444 days expected in jail for a now disgraced fashion mogul. Beatrice Vaisman reporting live from the University Courthouse. Thank you, Bea.